One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got another crazy morning ahead of us. Let's get it this morning. Let's get it. All right, so we got a lot to discuss, as you guys can see from the title. Trump at G7 and says deal or more bombs. Well, we're going to be talking about that and the reason why I titled it that here in a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and give you guys a chronological breakdown of what we're going to be discussing this morning, as we always do. First, we're going to be talking about something that happened right after the show yesterday. FBI investigates Border Patrol involved shooting in Washington. Now, I'm not very sure of like the entire backstory of this, but it does says the Blaine, Washington Police Department shared to Facebook, quote, U.S. Border Patrol involved shooting. There was a U.S. Border Patrol involved shooting at the corner of 4th Street and A Street. There is no threat to the public. We ask for your assistance and patience in the area while the FBI investigates the incident and the crime scene. Now, it doesn't really sound like that they got the guy. I mean, they're saying that there is no threat to the community, but it doesn't really sound like you got him in custody. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then we have DOJ announces charges against Antifa-linked groups related to Minnesota ICE protests. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Then we're going to be discussing Trump to send a Iran deal to Congress. And yes, we're going to get into that here very shortly. And then we got some breaking news that happened yesterday. Multiple people were reportedly shot inside of a Delaware hospital. And this one was a big deal. This was a terrible situation. And from what I've been able to gather so far, it was extremely unruly, just insane. Anyways, and then suspect is in custody after deadly Delaware hospital shooting. It says a shooting at Wilmington Hospital Tuesday afternoon, which was yesterday, left one person dead and another injured, according to Wilmington Police Chief Wilfredo Campos. I don't know what that is, but police say the suspect is now in custody as the investigation remains active. In an update Tuesday night, which was late last night, police say the suspect, a 23-year-old man, has been taken into custody in Philadelphia, and charges and extradition to Delaware are pending. The preliminary investigation determined that this was a target isolated incident, police says. The names of the victims are being withheld out of respect of their families. Wow, very interesting. We're going to get deep into all these discussions here in a moment. We got G7 summit that this was coming out 8 hours ago. So this was coming out right around 2 a.m, actually, for me. But anyways, Trump, Zelensky call on Russia to, quote, make a deal amid the Ukraine war. So obviously, while they're over there in France, they're going to be discussing not just the Iran situation, but they're going to be discussing all situations on a geopolitical level. And then we have Trump discusses deal with Iran, Strait of Hormuz at G7. This is coming out just 3 hours ago, by the way. So we are keeping up to date with everything that's happening. And then remember yesterday and the day before, or I think it was actually yesterday, we were discussing about that one-way drone attack that these 5 people were planning on doing, and then the FBI thwarted the situation. Anyways, we have Fox and Friends actually that bring out some type of report and actually show the description of the guy, the picture of him. 5 suspects identified in alleged UFC attack plot. Now, I only saw the very first face. I'm not sure if there's all 5 of them in there. Hopefully there is. That'd be nice. And then, of course, we have leaked details reveal new info on U.S.-Iran peace deal coming out 5 hours ago. And Trey Yingst is actually doing this report. So we've been following Trey Yingst on all the craziness that's been happening as well. And we call it like it is, right? As soon as he starts going into any type of biased area, just like anybody else, I call it out. But he has been doing a lot of decent reporting, I will say. And then expert sounds alarm on big concerns with Iran deal 34 minutes ago. Well, no shit. No shit. I asked you guys a question in the chat, by the way. Okay. I asked you guys, what are we going to see first? Are we going to see a peace deal, or are we going to see more bombs? And we'll get into more of that here in a bit. All right, quickly, let's go ahead and do our call to actions, and then we'll get into the madness of the morning. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it, and it's free to do so. Hitting that subscribe button is also free, by the way. And this is what we do Monday through Friday, and of course, we have Saturday morning for members only, and it's such a good time, man. Now, speaking of members, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $2.99 a month. Making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Yes, sir. A little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, all that shit, man. Politics. Also, listen, we have a Discord server for all you legends where we continue the conversation. We're only live for an hour per morning, hour and a half at latest. And so we continue the conversation in the Discord. So make sure you guys go in the video description down below of any live video we're doing, and I'll have that invite link for you guys. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gift memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen. At any time, you can donate to those, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, I'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat, so you still get to intervene with the show, man. So, all right, good to see everyone, man. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Real quick, we got Lick It Up with Poncho re-upping his membership for 14 months. I want to give a big thank you very much for hanging with us for 14 months, man. Hopefully you've been enjoying it. And we got Sterling Wheel becoming, re-upping his membership for 9 months as well, saying, become a member. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your support, both of you guys. Making it rain in the chat. Thank you for the memberships, man. That's our favorite around here. I actually prefer memberships over donations because that's like a better business ideology, in my opinion, than relying on tips. So, but anyways, let's see who we got here. We got Warlener up in the building. Shout out to you, by the way. We got Virginia Chaos as well as Steve Posey. Yes, sir. Sterling Wheel as obvious. We got Naomi in the building as well. Always appreciate you. We got Sick Bastard and the Coffee Crew. Thank you guys for the raid this morning. We always appreciate your love and support from Carney Vanguard, from Sick Bastard, Old Mac. You name it, man. Motobomb Virginia. Thank you guys for the love and respect, man. We got Powder Dusty coming in with the 10 gifted memberships. Holy shit. I very much appreciate that. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. I definitely know the fuck we are. Definitely having a good one so far. Good morning to you guys. All right, so let's see here. We got Vanguard Critters as well as, let's see, we got AU in the building as well as Steve Easy. Good morning to you guys, man. Thank you for all being here. We got Brother So Loud from the Boondocks of North Carolina. Always appreciate you as well. Brother Beezer and Stephanie, good morning to you guys. Let's see. We're scrolling down as fast as humanly possible. We got Wildcard as well as Big Dan. Shout out to you guys, man. Good morning. Good morning. We're about to get into the madness. I promise. It's just a lot of you guys in here. We're trying to show a little love. We got TVT as well as Logical Spark, my man. Good morning. Let's see. We're getting caught up. We're kind of close. We got Joey as well. Great to see you, by the way. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the madness. First, we're going to be discussing FBI investigates Border Patrol involved shooting in Washington first. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Give me a second to share my screen here. 3, 2, 1, bam.
Welcome back
Figure out what the fuck's going on here.
to Live now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. We are following some breaking news at the border of the state of Washington and Canada. This is a social media post by the Blaine, Washington Police Department stating this. U.S. Border Patrol involved shooting. There was a U.S. BP involved shooting at the corner of 4th Street and A Street. There is no threat to the public. We ask for your assistance and patience in the area while the FBI investigates the incident and the crime scene. All media requests need to go.
Damn, corner of 4th Street and A Street. I can't pinpoint that in my head, but I've only been up to Washington maybe like a handful of times, maybe 7 or 8 times, even though I lived in Southern California for 29 years. But yeah, I do have family up there still. We got brother Pitbull, by the way. Good morning to you, as well as Hardwire. Always appreciate you guys. Good morning to you guys. But Pitbull's over there in the UK, so good afternoon to you, kind sir.
Go to the FBI. So that is just the brief social
Brother
media
Prez.
statement just issued by the Blaine, Washington Police Department discussing just some of those details.
Yes, by the way, happy birthday, Logical Spark. And by the way, listen, you guys don't have to like all this craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it, like the video, and, you know, for what we do over here on Insane Wheels. Listen, we have well over 150 people in here between both live streams. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side.
Details involving the U.S. Border Patrol involved shooting. So this is a live look right here. This is from Bellingham, Washington. I did take a look at the map. This is just about 26 minutes away from Blaine, Washington, where that shooting happened, just a little over 21 miles south. So the shooting itself happening in Blaine, Washington, that is at the border with Canada. The information just coming into our newsroom doesn't have much detail, but we are continuing to monitor all of the social media platforms. What we do know at this hour is this. This is all according to the Blaine, Washington Police Department stating.
Man, I very much appreciate that, Kurt. We try to shoot you guys, you know, straight as possible. Not even, you know, fuck my feelings, fuck everybody else's feelings. It's what the facts are, okay? That's all we give a shit about.
That there has been a U.S. Border Patrol involved shooting. And if you're familiar with the area, all of this happening at the corner of 4th Street and A Street. They did want to emphasize that currently there is no threat to the public, but they are asking for the public's assistance and patience while the FBI investigates the incident and the crime scene. We don't have a live look at the crime scene itself, but no doubt there is a perimeter as this is an active investigation and evidence currently likely being gathered. Also, all media requests are now being directed to the FBI. We're also keeping a very close.
Well, no shit. So let's see if there's any governmental official postings. There isn't. Wow, of course there wouldn't be. Because that was right as it was breaking. But we do have some interesting stuff to follow up with all of this. Of course, as I read at the top of the hour here, what we're going to be discussing this morning, we've got a lot. DOJ announces charges against Antifa-linked groups related to Minnesota ICE protests. Oh, shit. Well, what's going on with this? Let's see what the DOJ is sharing over here.
Cut into this because it appears that the DOJ is getting ready to start this press conference now on announcing charges on Antifa-linked groups in Minneapolis. Let's go ahead and listen in live.
I sped it up 1.25.
Today, I can disclose to you further actions by federal law enforcement in combating that violence. Last year, President Trump
What's up, No Grow? Good morning to you.
issued National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, which directed the Department of Justice to prioritize politically motivated violence. To accomplish that mission, the Deputy Attorney General stood up Joint Task Force Vanguard to enforce a national security strategy to investigate, prosecute, and disrupt those who
What's up, too, Will? Jesus, good morning to you as
engage in
well.
political violence and intimidation. Today, a federal indictment was unsealed, charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of 2 Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement of federal law in our state. The defendants are members and
I wonder if we have any Antifa groups here in Alabama. I'm sure we probably do down south somewhere, like in the, the liberal areas, but I don't know.
associates of direct action.
Whoops, I accidentally just exited out of the fucking show. Of course I would. Let me find that whole thing back again. That sucks. I hate that. I've done that before a handful of times, and that shit just sucks. I hate doing that. Give me a second. I'll find it. I fucking hate that shit. Here it is. Nope, that's not it. Give me a second. Where the hell did it go? Oh, here it is. Boom. Sorry, guys. That was my fault. I've done that a handful of times before. All right, let me go ahead and pull up this again. Screen share. There we go. Boom. You got to embrace your fuck up sometimes. You know what I mean? Don't worry. We're going to play that after this.
Minnesota. They are charged with conspiracy to impede or injure a federal officer, solicitation to commit a crime of violence, interstate threats, interstate stalking, assault on a federal officer, and destruction of government property.
Mr. Al Patterson, good morning to you. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday, my man.
Earlier this morning, agents of Homeland Security Investigations conducted a coordinated law enforcement operation, culminating in the arrest of 12 of the 15 defendants. One defendant had already been in custody on other federal charges. 2 defendants remain fugitives at large. Today's charges and arrest.
Hold on, we got to pause real quick. Money talks. As you guys know, we got Mr. Al Patterson gifting out 5 gifted memberships. Let's go, bro. Thank you very much. Making it rain in the chat. I very much appreciate you guys and your support, your engagement, hitting that like button, man. It goes a long way. Double tapping that screen, all that shit, man. Thank you, Mr. Al Patterson.
Reflect a broad federal effort to address organized lawless behavior which seeks to disrupt the execution of federal law, endanger law enforcement, and importantly, endanger the very communities that these defendants falsely claim to be protecting. Be assured, the Department of Justice and my U.S. Attorney's Office has and will distinguish between lawful protest and criminal conduct. These defendants have been charged not for what they said, but for what they did.
Shit, what they do?
They all joined an agreement, a conspiracy, to interfere with lawful immigration enforcement operations. The conspiracy was not to interfere.
Well, no shit.
By their voice.
That's definitely what they do.
But to do it by force. That's a crime, and it will not be tolerated in the United States. Direct action.
You know, I agree with you, Steve Easy.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Shit.
Minnesota emphasizes their violent, militant approach to politics and are highly critical of nonviolent, peaceful protests. You see here a Facebook post from one of the defendants, Cameron Kennedy, writing, quote, "We need to become ungovernable." As the name suggests, Direct Action Minnesota is an organization dedicated to direct action against federal law and immigration enforcement. This action is not peaceful. It's obstructive, disruptive, and unlawful. The organization trains its members in the aggressive use of shields against law enforcement, surveillance, operational planning, and rapid mobilization against law enforcement actions. Though investigations are ongoing, what we know now is that Direct Action Minnesota is comprised of members of subgroups. For example, the Black Hat Workers Collective. The Black Hat Workers Collective is a Minneapolis-based Antifa affinity group which advocates, promotes, and utilizes militant tactics and violence. Here you can see that their Facebook cover page shows as a banner the burning down of the Minneapolis Police Department's 3rd precinct.
It looks like welcome to Minneapolis with it burning down. Yeah.
One of the leaders of Direct Action Minnesota, Defendant Kyle Wagner,
doing calls for violence,
identifies himself as Antifa, and he doesn't shy away from it.
My name is Kyle. I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up. Okay? Go watch my other videos. Doesn't matter if you're not here and you're not caught up. You've missed.
Why doesn't the cameraman zoom into the fucking video? Now we can't hear it. That's their side. That's not us. I don't know what's going on. Come on, man. These fucking guys. Why would it be out? Why wouldn't we be able to hear this? Why would they mute this? Because it's got curse words? Is that what happens? Oh, they purposely muted the whole fucking thing. Wow. Because he was cursing and shit. Bunch of pussies. Mainstream media sucks.
We're not talking about peaceful protests. His words, not mine.
That was gay.
During Operation Metro Surge.
Couldn't hear anything he said. So
Direct Action Minnesota infiltrated and exploited lawful protests to more efficiently carry out its unlawful direct actions, targeting operations involving ICE as well as other federal law enforcement and as well as other state law enforcement. In order to achieve the ends of the conspiracy, Direct Action Minnesota was highly organized, holding meetings on a regular basis, and engaged in what they called operational security, or OPSEC. The indictment unsealed today includes a focus on 2 days in which Direct Action Minnesota organized and participated in actions against federal and local law enforcement on January 23, 2026, and on March 1st, 2026. On those days, Direct Action Minnesota members deployed what they called hard and soft blockades against federal law enforcement, as well as against Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies.
Wow. They actually organized some sort of like blockade? What?
Direct Action Minnesota shut down operations at the Federal Whipple Building, a government building just north of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport and the main hub for several federal agencies. Members of their hard blockade team used vehicles, RV trailers that they would overturn, check hedgehogs,
Wow.
and ice blocks that they would throw at law enforcement to obstruct roads used by law enforcement near the Whipple Building in order to impede the movement of law enforcement. Members of their soft blockade team used homemade shields constructed from plastic, wood, and metal to physically resist the efforts of law enforcement and to aggressively break through teams of officers on foot. Direct Action Minnesota members also engaged in what they called commuting tactics, which included identifying, following, surveilling, harassing, and confronting law enforcement officers. Conspiracy members even followed law enforcement officers from locations like the Whipple Building, to the officers' homes. For example, as alleged in the indictment on May 4th.
This is pretty extensive, actually. Holy shit. Interesting. He's almost done speaking, by the way, and then we'll pretty much move on from this.
2026, defendant Isaac Sant followed federal officers from the Whipple Building.
We have so many stories we got to get through. It's just unfortunate we can't listen to the whole thing. But.
All the way to Hudson, Wisconsin, where St. Croix County deputies stopped him. Such stalking and other direct actions against law enforcement are criminal, they're un-American, and they'll be met with swift justice. That's why we're here today. To those who choose to threaten or harm federal officers, we will hold you accountable. We will defend federal officers, we will protect the public, we will enforce the law. I want to thank our partners at Homeland Security Investigations for their outstanding work on this case, and I now ask the special agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations.
Don't really need to do that. So we got the the basics of what's happening there. Crazy, absolutely wild. All right, let's get into this next story though. Trump to send Iran deal to Congress. What does that mean? We'll figure it out right here together. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Also, you know what we haven't done? We got to embrace our fuck ups and then do our money part. You know, we do have to do that. Do housekeeping over here.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Shit, we always embrace the fucking process. See, embrace. All right, and let's get the money part.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Now that's actual factuals, the best propaganda you'll get today.
Denied.
And yes, Kurt, he says, yes, sir, absolutely. I even heard it. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what's going on with Congress and this Iran deal. They keep calling it. It's not a deal. Nothing's been a deal. It's been a memorandum of understanding. So anyways, let's get this straight. Let's figure out what's happening.
I'm your host, Christina Evans. As promised, we are going to continue on with what we're following here as it pertains to the deal between the United States and Iran. Putting this up on your screen there from Barack Ravid with Axios, saying that the U.S. and Iran deal was signed electronically on Sunday by President Trump, Vice President Van, and some of those Iranian leaders as well. Many unresolved questions still remain. And so when it comes to that, we do know that details are now beginning to emerge of the U.S. and Iran's interim deal to end the war there in the Middle East, with President Trump saying that it will rule out a nuclear weapon for Tehran, and U.S. officials saying that it will allow Iran to sell oil upon signing. And so some of the details there are still starting to come out, but what all this ultimately means, we do want to now bring into the conversation Dave Lawler with Axios to help us break down the very latest. Dave, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now.
What's up, Miss Lotus? By the way, good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
Thanks for having me.
Well, of course, so many folks are interested, as we just heard from both sides of the aisles, their leadership talking about the Iran war deal.
Real quick, I got a question for Mr. Dave over here. Lawler. Mr. Dave Lawler.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Shit.
Saying that those details have not quite been presented to them. But what are we really watching as far as what we do know in these early stages since this deal has not yet been made public?
Yeah, and we should just pause there. It's pretty amazing that this deal was signed electronically on Sunday. It's partially in effect. The ceasefire extension piece of it is already supposed to be in effect. There are parts related to the Strait that are supposed to come into effect after the formal signing ceremony on Friday in Switzerland. Right. But we don't have, we the American people don't have the deal. The Israelis, who are partners to the agreement, have said that they actually don't have the text of the MOU. So it's quite a tight hold. It is a relatively short, high-level document, 14 points, a page and a half. We've gotten briefings on the various points.
I love that, Boomer, by the way. Good morning to you. Great to see you.
Although we don't have the full text. And really the idea is that in phase one, there are 60 days of negotiations for a nuclear deal. During that time, the Strait is supposed to be open. The U.S. blockade is supposed to be lifted. The fighting is supposed to be over. And the U.S. and Iran try to work during that time for a permanent deal that also covers Iran's nuclear program. There's a lot of speculation about different aspects related to what financial incentives Iran gets. But for now, those are the basics. That's kind of the basic framework of where we are on the deal.
And so I'm glad.
Brother Jack Talcott, real quick, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. Definitely know that we are. Good morning.
You're mentioning that, and says we're taking a look at some of the footage of that backup that is we've seen really over the last few months there in the Strait of Hormuz, which has been the central topic of this discussion on the economic side. I mean, we've seen these cargo ships blocked up. We've seen that the U.S. had this blockade in place, even taking action against some of those.
And Texas Gidget, of course. I could have swore I said good morning, but maybe I didn't. You know, you guys overwhelm me sometimes. You know what I mean? But in a good way. You know, it's great to have so many legends in the chat.
Ships that have tried to exit the region from Iran shores, then heading off to the rest of the world to sell oil. And so when it comes to the importance on the economic side of getting the Strait reopened, we know that President Trump is there at the G7 summit. Does that also put the pressure on him from other countries who have been impacted by this conflict in the Middle East, even though they have no direct connection to it?
Real quick before he answers, listen, we have 422 people in here between both the live streams. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Listen, you guys don't have to like it for all this craziness that's happening around the world. You guys can like it for me and what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you.
For sure. I think there are very few people around the world, except maybe some in Iran, who want the Strait to remain closed. This has been a huge problem for the global economy. Again, the terms of the deal state that within 30 days of signing, traffic should be back to normal with no restrictions. So basically, there's a ratcheting down process. And then within a month, we should have normal traffic through the Strait. There are some who have their doubts about whether it will work as intended, but that's what it says on the paper. Then
this is an interesting. Reuters puts out this yesterday. The U.S. will allow Iran to immediately begin selling oil and fuel under the memorandum of understanding. The two sides reached to end war. The Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday, citing people familiar with the agreement. Interesting.
For long-term questions about the operations of the Strait,
I haven't seen
the
that one
agreement
yet.
says that for this 60-day period, at least Iran won't charge tolls. It will be, free for anybody who wants to ship through the Strait. President Trump says that will continue to be the case long-term. The Iranians say, hey, we only agreed to 60 days of this, and we might charge fees.
Good morning to STP. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning as well.
For things like safety or environmental fees longer term, which would basically be a toll after that 60-day period. So there's still some to be resolved on the Strait issue as well. I think the big question, you just showed the backup, is how soon we start to see a really significant uptick of those ships that have been stuck in the Strait or want to pass through the Strait actually starting to move at anywhere close to what pre-war volumes looked like.
And so I want to talk to you about the length and what ultimately is to happen, because you keep heavily pointing out the fact that this is set up as an interim deal. And so for folks at
What's up, brother GEG? Good morning to you as well. Great to see you.
They might not be aware of ultimately what that could potentially mean. But when we're looking at this is not a final peace treaty, but is it also just a setup for a ceasefire and just a framework for how these conversations can continue? And
Yes, basically what Christina just said. Yes, this memorandum of understanding is going to, if you guys are, didn't hear my analysis on this a few days ago, whatever it was. Listen, this memorandum of understanding is going to get us 60 days of a ceasefire, as well as the Strait opening up on Friday after it's signed in Switzerland or whatever. And anyways, once that's all finished up, then they're gonna, right now they're doing mine operation, mine sweeping and stuff like that. Then the strait will open. 60 days later, they're supposed to have a final agreement on how they're going to go forward with their nuclear program. Now, if any, or whatever the case is, if there's going to be any concessions made by the IRGC regarding their nuclear shit, is going to be by money. Let's just be real with it. It's going to be, they're going to be paid not to have them, not to buy them, not to fucking enrich. That's basically what would happen. This is why they were hoping they would get a regime change, the United States, by just doing it from the air. But unfortunately, that's not how that works. And, you know, I've been against this war from day one, and I was heavily against about any, you know, ground, you know, troops on the ground, because I already knew that this was a fucked ordeal. I knew this was going to be a problem, and it obviously is. You know, there's no doubt that, you know, for them to enforce them shutting down the strait, it doesn't take a whole bunch of military. It doesn't take a whole bunch of shit. All it takes is a few drones, and you threaten the fucking region. And then the captain owners and the ship owners, I'm not captain owners, the ship owners, the insurance companies, all these companies are like, hey, yeah, we're not going through. We're not going to go through this shit. You know, so this is the complexity of this bullshit.
Do you have any insight as to what that would ultimately look like in these next 60 days? Are there already scheduled talks on the calendar for these leaders to meet to get something final and official on the table?
Great question. So Friday is the first time they'll be in the same place in Switzerland for the signing ceremony. We expect there to be some initial conversations there about how the talks are going to unfold going forward. You made some good points there about the fact that many people might not realize this is an interim deal. This is not the final solution, right? Because the White House is sort of selling this as we got everything we want. You know, it's a great deal. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Actually, the nuclear pieces of the deal are contingent on a second, much longer piece of paper being signed. Iran has said, as part of this agreement, that if there's a final deal, they will give up their enriched uranium, or at least they will come to some sort of accommodation around the enriched uranium. And there will be an agreement about future enrichment. Basically, that if there is a final deal, they'll dial back their nuclear program. But that depends on some pretty technical negotiations. And when you consider how hard it was to get this much more basic agreement together over the last couple months, I think there's reason to not take it for granted that we will ever get this final.
What's up, Crystal Kenton? Good morning, by the way.
Nuclear agreement. So it's definitely still a lot on the table over the next 60 days. That's the period that they've given themselves to get this deal. A senior administration.
Right. And like I said, Iran's not going to concede to this unless they're heavily paid off. So what's going to end up happening? Well, let's just be real about it. It's going to go right back into strikes, kinetic strikes. It's going to go right back to bombings. It's gonna resort back to that. It's a circle right now we're in, right? And this is exactly what I called out immediately when they were like all calling it a peace deal and all that shit in the very beginning. I'm sitting there laughing, going, what peace deal are you guys talking about? This is a memorandum of understanding. This is us basically agreeing on a ceasefire for us to negotiate to get a deal. Okay, like this is not going to change the game.
An official claim to reporters yesterday that they will know within 2 to 3 weeks whether the Iranians are serious and whether there will be a final deal. We're just going to have to wait and see. And in the meantime, we'll all hope the strait opens back up at least.
And so, Dave, I want to talk about some of those other major players in the region. Earlier in this interview, you already mentioned it, that Israel is not one of those folks who were brought to the table initially for this memorandum of understanding, this potential temporary deal that's on the table.
What's up, Diva? Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Great to see you, by the way.
How does that affect the ongoing conflicts that they are also involved in right now in the Middle East?
Yeah, so this deal has been met almost across the board in Israel with outrage and criticism. There's a lot of concern, even from people who are not on the conservative side of not allies of Benjamin Netanyahu, that without being at the table, as you mentioned, Israel has been committed to stopping the war in Lebanon. You know, they're occupying a significant chunk of southern Lebanon. Our understanding is the deal doesn't explicitly say they have to pull out of Lebanon.
Well, and this is going to be the hard part, because this is a four-sided kind of deal, whether we like it or not. Lebanon is included in this whole thing. So whether Israel likes it, whether we like, it's all irrelevant. This is a four-sided kind of thing. Okay. You've got Lebanon, you've got Israel, United States, and Iran. Okay. And there's a lot at stake here. And here's the problem is Israel has a major fucking issue with Lebanon. It's a thing that's just been going on for fucking ever. It's an ordeal. You know, they are a direct strike from Iran every time they get struck. Is, you know, well, yes, Hezbollah is a proxy, and Lebanon, their government needs to get a hold of their shit, you know, of their people, Hezbollah in particular, you know, to stop the fucking attacks, because they are antagonizing, but they're doing it on purpose because they're hoping that Israel is going to sabotage the war. And Iran and Hezbollah know that is going to be the case.
The deal, but it does say there will be a ceasefire in Lebanon. And there's real questions about what if Hezbollah continues to fire into Israel. Israel has had these strikes continuously, even during the official ceasefire being in place. That's been a huge point of friction between the U.S. and Iran as well. The fact that Israel has continued to conduct operations in Lebanon. You know, I think there's real questions about what happens between in the relationship between Netanyahu and Trump over the next few weeks as this deal plays out. Trump had some quite spicy language that I probably can't say on air, referring to Netanyahu in an interview with Axios, saying Netanyahu has no judgment when it comes to Lebanon. So there are real tensions there in a way that we haven't previously seen very often between Trump and Netanyahu. I think there's also questions. This is an election year in Israel. We're 3.5 months out from an election, about whether you know, Netanyahu feels too penned in politically.
What's up, Dragon Classy? Good morning.
You know, that he can't really afford to play ball with Trump's agreement. And if things start to break down there, you know, I think things could shift, you know, pretty significantly between the U.S. and Israel, and also in terms of how these negotiations with Iran play out.
That was exactly where I was going next, because clearly Benjamin Netanyahu has been President Trump's one of the most reliable people for him in that region and executing what he would like to see. Are there any other countries? Of course, we know that Pakistan has been involved in these talks, acting as a mediator. Does President Trump have anybody else that he can rely on in the region if that relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu is set to sour?
Yes. So I think it's probably unlikely that we will see a total kind of rupture in the U.S.-Israel alliance. I think we're just likely to see tactical differences and maybe real tensions. But it is a good point that, you know, the U.S. is looking to the Gulf countries quite a bit as sort of their partners in making this, whatever this peace with Iran looks like, work. The Qataris have been involved in the mediation. The UAE have actually leaned quite a bit into the relationship with the U.S. during the war with Iran.
What's up, Tony? Good morning.
You might expect these countries that have come under attack from Iran as a result of a war the U.S. and Israel started, you might expect them to then pull back from the U.S. But in fact, some of them, UAE in particular, are leaning more heavily into the security relationship with the U.S. coming out of the deal. So relations with the Gulf states are overall, you know, relatively strong. The relationship with Israel, I think, in the big picture,
well, we're losing Saudi, so that's an issue too.
Sense continues to be strong. They're still probably the closest U.S. partner in the region, but there are real questions about whether their interests diverge over the next couple of months and beyond, at least as regard to this Iran negotiation process.
And Dave, we certainly appreciate all of your reporting that you're doing there on the region, and also.
All right, let's see if there's any governmental official statements. There it looks like Lindsey Graham here. I don't know. Let's see what's
quite
going on.
Quite close ally of Trump's throughout the war. So that's a sense of, you know, people who thought Trump was doing a great job when the war was going on.
I wanted to actually hear what was, but he's just talking over it. Yeah, he's just talking over these, you know, video clips. Here is a report from Trey Yinks, though. President Trump on Israel and Hezbollah. Quote, Israel is fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. You don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody. He actually said this on the stage at G7, I think, yesterday. There are a lot of people in these apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah. I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. On Israel striking Hezbollah in Beirut, quote, I did not like that. I let them know that. Says the attacks was too much. Quote, if Israel can't do their job without killing everyone else, he'll do the job. Syria will do the job. Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon, which we all agree to. I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. Israel would have been blown up a long time ago had I not gotten involved. Actually, that's a pretty fucking base take. I gotta admit it. I gotta admit it.
Live now from
All right. We don't need her to read it. Let's see if BB's going to say anything here at the very end, or if they're just playing a clip.
and Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader there in Israel. If anything else, though, comes out of this.
No, nope. So we'll follow this. Of course, that's what we do. All right, we've got to move on, though. We're going to bring it back to United States here. Multiple people reportedly shot inside of a Delaware hospital. This breaking about 16 hours ago. And we do have the update, because back when this was originally being reported, they hadn't found the suspect yet. But there is a suspect in custody right now. But anyways, let me go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly get into it. Here we go.
And welcome back, everyone, here to Live Down from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. We're continuing to follow some breaking news out of Wilmington, Delaware, with the very latest of a shooting.
Real quick, we got Seymour Cannabis as well as Bob, my man from Biking News Canada. Good morning to you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning. I definitely know that we are. Shit. All right, let me go ahead and get back to this. Here we go.
It happened at a hospital. We are getting some sound right now from witnesses. So let's listen in right now on Live Down from Fox.
The Allentown, Bethlehem. Can you spell your name for us? Kathleen Deckeker. And I originally brought up in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
What are you doing here today?
Did she get fucked up or
Trying to
something?
make a dentist appointment, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And,
well, yeah, we can see loss of
luckily, I
teeth
was
there.
about 30 feet ahead of them because I no sooner got out the door than all the police were rushing up and running inside. They had the long guns and flashlights, and they were asking, was anybody in the ER? Or, excuse me, it was really hard to tell if anybody, and we couldn't hear
Appreciate that, M. Shouty. Appreciate that.
anything because of all the machinery, the doctors and nurses running around. But it just left a really kind of an empty feeling about our civility, not only in this country, but globally, that, all the time, why are people doing this?
When did you find out that there was a shooting? How did you hear when they came in?
After I was in the driveway.
What's up, brother Kerry over there from Rob's neighbor? Good morning.
Walking, and I thought I'll go over to the bus shuttle because I
Exercise.
need to get back to Newark. And so two other guys from IT in ER came over. They shared the bus thing with me, and so they were calling, friends and people and family to see what we could find out, because I had my purse stolen today too. So I have no money, I have no.
Man, this woman's gone through the fucking ringer. What's going on with this shit? Man.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
What a fucking interview.
Purse, I have no phone.
You were able to get out before the hospital went on lockdown, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when it did, the police came over to us and said, we need everybody to evacuate.
What was the feeling in there when people heard that, there's a shooting and they wanted everybody to evacuate? Was it panic? Was it?
No, they were more sad that this is happening every week, and people are getting.
Every week, there's deadly shootings going on in your hospital over there in Wilmington, Delaware. Shit. What's going on over there, man? No, she's just over exaggerating. She's talking about the street. She's not necessarily talking about at the hospital. I can just tell she's a nutbag,
Killed or hurt, unnecessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you feel unsafe at that moment when you heard that?
That's right, Gidget.
That there was a shooting inside?
No, I was hoping I could get them, but I didn't feel unsafe. I heard no popping in the hospital, and even when we got out. And sat in the bus area, which was a good place to be because, we were kind of enclosed. And then they said we had to get out of there, and then made my way down this way as the policeman said that everybody's got to get beyond the stop sign. So that's how I got down to 14th Street or Washington. And
This
but
is
there were
so strange.
two ambulances that were parked down there in the parking ramp, and there were two stretchers coming out with people on them.
Well, that sucks.
And we heard that there were 3 people shot.
Damn.
I don't think,
There was one. It's I think one. Let me read this. At a shooting at a Wilmington hospital Tuesday afternoon, which is obviously yesterday, left one person dead and another injured, according to Wilmington Police Chief Wilfredo. Police say the suspect is now in custody as the investigation remains active. In an update Tuesday night, late last night, Police say the suspect, a 23-year-old man, has been taken into custody in Philadelphia, and charges extradition to Delaware are pending. The preliminary investigation determines that this was a targeted, isolated incident, police say. All right, so let me go back to this.
I don't know if they caught him yet or who.
Yeah, so that didn't happen. Let's see. Let's get to another crazy motherfucker. You know what I mean? How come we can't hear him? There we go.
It's a little over a year and a half, maybe.
Can you talk about what was done when the shooting happened in terms of security, reaching out? What did they tell? What were you told? Were you instructed?
No, I just got out. I didn't stick around to hear anything. You hear that and you just go. Like, you hear the alarms go off, and you just get out of there.
Were there alarms going off?
Yeah, the alarms went off. So it was scary. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. I feel horrible for the victims. My prayers go out. I just don't know what to say. Like, it's just terrifying.
It's probably the last place you would expect.
Yeah, like I told her earlier, like schools and hospitals, these are the last places that should never happen. And you got to have some kind of like you can't control everyone, but there's got to be, something happened here. Something set this person off. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not a politician.
Where were you in relation to where
the emergency room? The emergency room.
The shooting happened in the emergency room?
No, I think the shooting happened on the ground floor. That's like near the cafeteria.
Damn, happened on the ground floor. They didn't have to go searching too far, huh? All right, let's see what's happening here.
That is happening right now in Delaware.
Whether those victims are employees, whether they were patients here at the hospital, they have not.
That's why I've been standing around waiting to see if it was obviously somebody that was, maybe he's in the maybe he's recovering from being shot or something like that. You don't know if these guys are involved in gangs. There's retaliations in hospitals. It does happen, man. All sorts of things. And also, if it wasn't that, did any of the workers get hurt? I want to hear these things.
Given identifications or their conditions, but at last report, they did not have a gunman. They did not have a suspect in custody. And so right now, the hospital, Christiana Care, this is the Wilmington campus, remains on lockdown at this hour. And you can even see just people this is mostly media where we are now, but just people standing outside the hospital. Just across here, Aaron, past this burgundy vehicle. These are people in scrubs over here. So lots of hospital employees are just remaining outside.
What's up, Chan with Stacks? Good morning, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday as well.
Outside the hospital until they hear what's going on. But the hospitality worker, Brian, who we just spoke to, just described this as being a terrifying thing to happen. He, again, was in the emergency room. He says, according to him, the shooting happened on the ground floor. So
be safe out there, Warland. We always appreciate you.
Floor below where he was. But he says that he heard 2 pops. He wasn't in a position in terms of where the shooting happened and where he was to know what kind of commotion may have led up to this or, what happened in the moments before. He just said that he heard those shots and that it was terrifying to him. And especially to have something like this, he said, happened in a hospital where, he pointed out hospitals are like, schools. You expect them to be safe. You don't expect something like this to happen.
Well, maybe normal civilians think that way, but I definitely don't. There's retaliations that happen in hospitals for damn sure.
But clearly something went terribly wrong here this afternoon that caused 2 people to be shot. Again, conditions unknown. And last check from Wilmington Police, which was probably maybe in the last half hour, no suspect in custody. So still just.
But there is a suspect in custody now, which I'm going to show you right this second. All right, let me go ahead and bring this up. And apparently it was a 23-year-old kid, man.
Welcome back to Live Now.
Well, I shouldn't say kid, but you guys know what I mean. He is obviously an adult, but what I'm getting at is young,
From Fox, I'm Shauna Kalafi. We want to bring you an update on a story we've been following all day out of Delaware, a shooting inside of the Wilmington Hospital there in Delaware. 2 people shot, 1 person dead. And the latest update now, a suspect has been taken into custody. Let's tune into Fox 29 in Philadelphia, the top of their 10 p.m. newscast. They have team coverage with the latest information.
That's facts, Steve.
Breaking tonight in Delaware, police say the gunman involved in a deadly attack at Christiana Care's Wilmington Hospital is now in custody. A total of 2 people were gunned down. Investigators say one of them died from their injuries. This is a late edition of the 10 o'clock news. I'm Sheba Russell. It was a chaotic, scary few hours at the hospital, a place known to be a safe haven for so many. And here's what we know. Around 3:30 this afternoon, Wilmington police say they were called for a shooting reported inside the hospital and found 2 people shot. Again, one of the victims later died from their injuries. The other victim's condition is being withheld at this time. And then about an hour ago, the mayor's office reported that the suspect had been apprehended in Philadelphia. We've got team coverage for you tonight. Our Shawnette Wilson spoke with people.
And they're trying to get extradition right now.
People who were at the hospital at the time of the shooting. But we begin with Joanne Pileggi with more on the suspect's arrest. Joanne.
So this came out about 11 hours ago, somewhere around there.
Hey, Sheba, good evening, everyone. The mayor announcing on social media tonight that police have arrested the alleged gunman. Now, 6 hours after that deadly shooting at the hospital, the 23-year-old.
Hey, listen, I'm very guilty of enjoying me some white people tacos, all right? But listen, obviously growing up in Southern California, I grew up in like very authentic, you know, Los Angeles, Long Beach, all that. I mean, listen, man, you're going to eat some fucking good ass Mexican food. You're going to get some bomb ass tacos, street tacos, all that shit. Authentic carne asada, carnitas, all that shit, man. I love that stuff. But man, do I love some fucking white people tacos too.
Suspect was taken into custody about 30 miles away from here in Philadelphia.
Every Delawarean deserves to feel safe, whether at home, at school, at work, or seeking care at a hospital. Today is a sobering reminder that no one is immune from the devastation of gun violence.
No one, it seems,
Much love,
is
Dragon
immune,
Classy.
really anywhere, any place, any time. And this afternoon, it happened inside Christiana Care's Wilmington Hospital. Police called to the medical center at 3:30 today.
Police located 2 gunshot victims. One of those victims has tragically died from his injuries. Further information on the other victim's condition and the identity of both victims is being withheld at this time.
Police converged on the hospital and placed it on lockdown. Employees and those visiting loved ones.
Sometimes I wish they didn't do that. I'd like to know the actual connection, but that's just the journalist in me, I suppose.
Seen here walking from the building as investigators searched for the shooter. The hospital diverting emergency patients elsewhere during the hours-long lockdown.
Any violence or loss of life in our city is unacceptable. It's particularly distressing when an incident like this occurs in a hospital whose fundamental purpose is to treat injuries and save lives.
This is a tragic situation. It's heartbreaking. And
Oh my God, she's so fake. I can totally tell. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and see what the end of the report actually was from this lady, because she was doing the report on this thing.
So 1 dead, 1 injured, the suspect in custody. So many people truly traumatized, really forever. That suspect.
Oh God. Oh God. Yeah, it sucks, of course.
Absolutely, Sheba. Tonight, hospital officials are saying that this campus behind me is open, it is safe and secure with no ongoing threats to patients. And as you mentioned, they also credited and thanked the staff here for their courage and also their professionalism. Staff.
Man, Pedro, man. I spent a lot of time in Pedro. I mean, obviously, I worked in Port of Long Beach and Port of Los Angeles, obviously. And so where my terminal was in Pedro.
Members helped patients through what was a tragic day.
It was scary. So just firecrackers almost, like just intense.
The sound of gunshots described by a man who was inside the Wilmington campus hospital of Christiana Care.
What's up, Christopher Collins, my man? Great to see you. Another Alabama's finest. Great to see you.
This afternoon during a deadly shooting. We now know a gunman injured 1 person and killed another. A massive emergency response poured in as the hospital went on lockdown. Some workers like Brian Pfeffer evacuated.
There's a lot of people there.
Which we already heard. We already heard from Homeboy there. I don't know why they're playing it again. All right, let's see. We got a little bit of military presence. State
movement,
troopers.
you know, a lot of mixed information, so no one really knows what's going on. You see tactical force in and out, you know, going into different parts of the building.
When officials lifted the lockdown late in the evening, 1 patient leaving after 3 hours inside on lockdown commended hospital staff for helping keep him calm and informed.
I'm an Army veteran, so it was okay. Here's where we're going. Here's where we're going to lock down.
Yes, Steve. Of course it does. That was me last night.
Behind enough walls, and we were fine.
Pfeffer, like many, are wondering what went wrong and why.
Oh, I thought you said Jack and Coke.
This person off. I feel horrible for the victims. My prayers go out. I just don't know what to say. It's just terrifying.
And again, tonight we know that police say, based on their preliminary investigation, this was a targeted and isolated incident. Sheba?
All right, Shawnette, thank you.
Here, by the way, for the crazy motherfuckers in the chat, while you guys get crazy with it, I'm just going to be snacking on my big-ass sandwich and shit.
Man, motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big-ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
Shit. One last thing we got to do, we got to embrace our fuck-ups once
Beat
again.
yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Always embrace thy process. Perfect. All right, let's get into this G7 summit. So last night, they were talking about, Trump and Zelensky call on Russia to, quote, make a deal amid the Ukraine war. So of course they're not just only speaking about, the problems currently that are happening with Iran, but they're discussing all the other geopolitical problems that are happening around the world as well.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and good evening to you.
I never like the way that she speaks. I really, it kind of irks me.
For Ukraine after the war with Iran ends. It comes as Kyiv ramps up its efforts to join the European Union. Fox News foreign correspondent Jeff Paul has more.
I settled 8 wars. This was the one I thought was going to be the easiest settle.
Ahead of a peace deal signing with Iran, President Trump is shifting focus to the war in Ukraine.
Yo, Bob, that is so funny, dude. That you said that yesterday, and I thought you were joking. Like, I just made one because I was influenced by Mike with his freaking video, and then you did it again. That's hilarious.
After meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the G7 summit, Trump says he will do whatever he can to end the conflict and is urging Russia to reach a deal.
Yeah, that was specific for Freedom Effect, by the way, Naomi.
Russia's lost tremendous amounts of people, and so has Ukraine. Last month, they lost 35,000 soldiers between the two.
This week, G7 leaders work to get the war back on the president's
What's up, Nicole? Good morning to you. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
agenda after more than 4 years of fighting. They reportedly agreed to provide Ukraine with additional air defense capabilities and increase pressure on Russia through new energy sanctions.
Politically, Ukraine is ready for ending the war. Russia is not demonstrating any serious activity in any of those directions.
To ensure long-term security after the war, Ukraine officially entered into membership negotiations with the European Union on Monday. The process will require Kyiv to commit to several years of political reforms, all while fighting Russia. Some member states pushed the EU to give Ukraine an associate membership to aid in peace talks.
Building a Europe that is firmly in charge of its own security can only work with a strong, prosperous, and stable Ukraine.
Ukraine also requested to join NATO, but the White House ruled that out to avoid a direct military conflict with Russia. In London, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Thank you to Jeff Paul for that report. Well, the Russia-Ukraine war was a focus at the G7 summit in
Yeah, of course. There's going to be all these. Now, I do want to see what Reuters is saying here. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky said G7 leaders have agreed Russia is losing on the battlefield in Ukraine, and they have to make a deal to stop the war. And there is, I've been following the movements and the military movements that are happening over there. Obviously, this is what we do here. But I've been watching it, and Ukraine is gaining a lot of ground currently. Right now, they're in a pretty decent position. But nonetheless, we don't need this guy to give us a huge rigmarole about this whole story. I already understand what's happening here. We keep a very close eye, and we present shit as we find it. But I really don't need an analysis or an analyst telling me his analysts or analysts, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Via Zelensky's Instagram, a long way from last year's Oval Office showdown. This is coming from Josh Wingrove. I'm not sure who Josh is. Let me see if she'll say it here.
Of course.
She may
All right,
say
we
it.
did want to put this up here on your screen. Josh Wingrove, a Bloomberg reporter, saying this has been a closed-door meeting via Zelensky's Instagram.
Bloomberg.
You could see that picture there on the left-hand side of your screen. You could see the president, Donald Trump, sitting in that left seat, Marco Rubio and
Standing.
Zelensky. Again, a closed-door meeting at the G7 summit in France. Of course, a lot of that conversation centered around Russia's war in Ukraine and how to move forward. Zelensky calling for peace, of course, meeting with several G7 leaders in that conference.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on into the next thing that we're going to be discussing here. Trump discusses deal with Iran, Strait of Hormuz at G7. Now, this is 4 hours ago this morning, so this is now obviously all in today. We usually condense everything in the last 24 hours because we're only live for an hour and a half at max. And we're already at an hour right now. We're about to hit it in 9 seconds. So listen, we're about to go into overtime. You guys know what they say about overtime. No tax on tips, no tax on OT. Let's go. Send in your money. Make it rain and shit.
Denied.
I still love you guys, though. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's see what's being discussed.
But it was a lot. It was a lot of work last night. You saw that, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. It's really fantastic. So I'll be doing a news conference at about 4 o'clock today. Before we leave, we're going to Paris. And then we'll be going home tonight, I guess, if you really figure it. And so we'll be heading to Paris, where we have a big dinner meeting with a lot of the same people. And then we're going home. And it's been a very successful trip. A lot of things have happened that have been very good. We'll be discussing a little bit about the deal with Iran at the 4 o'clock news conference. It's a great deal. For a lot of reasons, but number one by far,
You be safe out there, Kurt. We always appreciate you as well.
99.9% is they will never have a nuclear weapon, and you can't give Iran a nuclear weapon, and they will never have a nuclear weapon. So that's very, very strong. It's a very strong deal.
Well, in all fairness, I do have it sped up at 1.25 right now, by the way.
Nobody knows what it is, but it's very strong, and most people seem to be very happy. Who's really happy is the market, because the market's gone up thousands of points over the last 4 or 5 days since hearing about it. And the strait is going to be opening. It's already partially opened. It's going to be opening up soon in full over the next day or two. And the market has gone.
There ain't no partial opening, not ship-wise. There are vessels moving around, the smaller ones, doing mine-sweeping operations and shit like that. But I wouldn't call it opened or slightly opened or no big ship tanker movement is happening.
Wild, and oil has come tumbling down. Oil is at $73, $74, and it's getting to very close to where it was before the crisis. The difference is now we have Iran without a nuclear weapon. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think people are going to be
on Friday, he's going to be in Switzerland doing the signing.
Very happy, but there's nothing so smart as the market, and the market loves it beyond anything that I've actually seen. Again, the stock market has gone through the roof, and oil has come tumbling down. I guess it's in the low 70s now, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. So that's what speaks louder than words. The alternative would be a worldwide depression. You know, the stupid people want to have a worldwide depression, and they're stupid people. So you can only go so far. Drive
stupid
somebody into the ground, and a lot of bad things happen. Number one, the strait would never open because they don't like floating billion-dollar ships up and down a strait when there are rockets flying over them and mines all over the place. So the strait would never be open. It wouldn't be open for a long time. So we have a very hot stock market, and we have starting to be a very low oil price, and that's going to have a huge impact on affordability caused by the Democrats. The Democrats have caused so many problems you have no idea. But I'll never forget, I took over, and I'm in the office for.
He really is sticking with that label, Democrats.
One day, and I had my first news conference, and they said, "Affordability, sir, affordability. What are you doing about it?" I said, "I've just been here one day. They tell me about affordability. They're the ones that cause affordability. It's just another con job. They made up the word affordability, but we're bringing prices down a lot, and they're coming down fast. And with the settlement, so worthwhile. With the settlement, where you're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and then we bring them down on top of that. And I think oil prices might get lower than where they were before the war. So I'm going to see you at 4 o'clock. And we'll discuss that a little bit, and we'll discuss other things. But we've had a great meeting. It's been a great summit. And France has done a fantastic job. President Macron has been really He's really done a great job. It's been very well received. Everybody here has been, I don't know if they've been happy. Some are not doing so well, but some are doing very well. But they've done a beautiful job. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press.
When they say thank you, press, they're rushing you out. I don't know if they're. Oh wow! So Fox got to stay inside there.
Reported it includes.
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes.
Oh, it's because it went straight into a question.
$300
For a question.
It's false.
Funded by Gulf House.
About the $300 billion thing.
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes a $300 billion
It's false.
fund
Totally.
funded by Gulf allies. That's
No,
false.
it's false. People, you can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do? Say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And people can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed to invest in Egypt. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm asking whether.
We are not investing in it, and we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior. It's a behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story that got picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think. Maybe a little bit, could have been a little more accurate, frankly. But it's a story. We are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget, there's never been anybody that's been so tough on Iran. This should have been done by Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. It should have been done by Biden. It should have been done by Bush. It could have been done.
What's up, Big Bisquick? Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your Wednesday morning so far.
By a lot of people.
Morning.
This has been going on for 47 years. They've ripped you off for 47 years, and I'm the only one that did anything about it. They never shot missiles at anybody. We wiped out their Navy. We wiped out their military. We wiped out their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar. You know, the reason oil stayed low is because we were taking ships out every night that you didn't even know about. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a month ago, we took out 22 ships. We averaged from 15 to 25 ships a night. Nobody knew that. Our Navy did a great job. Nobody knew.
Now, that's what, remember when I reported that basically the United States was taking Iranian oil underneath their nose? That's what I was reporting on, is exactly what he just said right there. 22 tankers full of oil was basically taken and taken by the United States, period.
What was happening? That's why oil didn't go to $300 a barrel. It went to 125, 115. Now it's at 72, 73. I heard it's lower than that now. I haven't seen it.
He said it would have been, if he wouldn't have done that, he said that oil would have gone up to $250 on a global scale.
The last couple of hours.
That's what he says.
No, we were very tough, and we took out a man named Soleimani. Remember that? You know, you think this would have happened if he were alive? The evil genius. He was an evil genius. People forget that. I took out Soleimani in my first term. Without that, you don't have the situation that we're in today, where we dominated. We wiped out their military, and because we did that, and then we put up the blockade, which was totally effective. Not one ship got by. Steve,
is the text of the agreement now?
Yeah, the blockade on the Iranian ports did well. It definitely put pressure on Iran, for damn sure.
Final, or are you still?
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding, and if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
Did you hear what he just said right there? That's exactly why I put that on the thumbnail today. All right, let me pop up the thumbnail, which is this. Boom. Deal or bombs, man. And you guys just heard what he just said right there. I'm going to replay it for you guys here in a second. But yeah, let me go ahead and back that up here. Back that ass up.
Blockade, which was totally effective. Not one ship got by. Steve,
is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still?
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding, and if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect it?
Shit. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
God damn, bruh.
Okay, because they've misbehaved for 47 years. All right? But nobody could have made this deal. I mean, the JCPOA done by Obama, he handed him $1.7 billion in cash, gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, gave him billions and billions of dollars, but he gave him $1.7 billion in cash, green cash from banks, into a Boeing 757 and flew it into Iran. And they stood at the plane. I have pictures of it, like, oh my, look at this money he's giving us. He tried to bribe his way out. I didn't do that. Nobody mentions that. 1.7 billion and hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried to bribe their way out of it. And you know what? The Iranians did. They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, that's it. And he says, thank you very much. It's over. Yep. Oh, there. It looks like one last question gets snuck in. Oh, shit.
Short remarks there in front of the press.
Oh, come on.
A lot of problem. We do support Egypt rights, water security.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. You don't listen.
You don't listen. Oh, my. Oh, my fucking God.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. You don't listen. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Of course, I support Egypt. He's a friend of mine from day one. You know, I met him early in the campaign.
Keep flag. Right? That's their side.
And I was told that the president of Egypt is here. That was a big deal. It's still a big deal for me to be with the great president of Egypt, but not as big as it used to be before I ran. So he was in a hotel, and I met him, and we fell in love, deeply in love. And he didn't even want to see Hillary. He said, "You're going to win. I don't want to meet her. You're going to win." He didn't want to see her. Remember that? Yes. So we had a good relationship right from the beginning. No, we met. We didn't know each other before that. We had great chemistry, and I stayed twice as long as I was supposed to, took up her time. And then when it was her time, he didn't want to meet with her. But he did because he's a gentleman, but it lasted about 1 minute. Thank you, everybody.
Now it's over. Now that's officially over. All right, let's get into this next report real quick. This is regarding the whole 5 suspects that we reported on yesterday about that one-way drone threat against the 250 event that happened over there, the UFC attack plot that the FBI thwarted and got themselves involved before it happened. And they have 5 suspects, and they actually have this report. It's coming from Fox News. We're not going to go ahead and listen to any of them give analysis on it, but we will get the report real quick. Let's go ahead and get that.
These 5 suspects have been arrested so far in connection.
Yeah, I hadn't seen these. I'd only seen Tyson proper and these 2 photos that went with him. I did see those. What was that? But I haven't seen all the others.
To an alleged planned attack on the White House.
This is just coming out this morning, 3 hours ago.
UFC Freedom 250 event. Investigators say the plot called for drones to drop explosives on the crowd, which would then force people to flee toward pre-staged snipers. Then a second wave of attackers was going to breach the White House gates. The mother of one of the alleged suspects, Tyson Proper, allegedly contacted authorities over concerns about his recent behavior and firearm purchases, which ultimately led to his arrest and helped foil this plot. Former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker was at that UFC event, and she joins us now. Nicole, what level of carnage are we possibly talking about if this plot was carried out?
Well, from what I've heard on the objective reports on this whole thing was they were trying to use a one-way attack drone to hit the crowd, not to hit the building, not to hit the White House, not to hit fucking shit, but to hit the people that are innocently there. Which to me, hearing that report, I mean, that's like, wow, dude. That would be, if something like that was carried out, that would be so tragic. That would be terrible. Those people don't deserve it.
Was at that UFC event, and she joins us now. Nicole, what level of carnage are we possibly talking about if this plot was carried out?
Todd, it would have been horrific. I can tell you it was a very epic event. It was one of a kind. It was symbolic.
Okay.
It was patriotic.
I don't care about all of your opinion about what the UFC event
His
was.
birthday. It happened to fall on President Trump's birthday.
Cool.
There's nothing more that these individuals wanted than to wreak havoc, to create fear and chaos and death and destruction. And that will not be tolerated. We will not live in fear. But I have to give credit to the parents of Tyson Proper. They are the ones that blew the lid off of this plot. They knew that their son was up to something nefarious. They were looking at things that he was, chatting about online. They were listening to conversations.
Okay, you can't just say things without showing evidence and like actually showing what you're talking about here.
Complaint of the Southern District of Ohio for Proper. There are 4 federal counts to include attempted murder of a federal officer or employee.
See, that's what I want to hear, these kind of things.
The United States, firearms charges, and a conspiracy against the United States. Is a very solid criminal complaint. I do believe that there will be more charges coming against more individuals. They've started with 5, but I do think there will be more coming.
Well, let's ask a question about that. Why would the FBI announce the foil plot if there are allegedly 18 people involved that have not yet been arrested?
Oh, wow. I didn't see that part. I didn't know. I didn't know that there was 18 more people involved in this whole thing. So this wasn't just like get your buddies, you know, five of your buddies or whatever, and you want to go do some fucking radical shit. There was like more than 5. Oh shit. All right.
Doesn't this tip them off?
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
You know, that's a decision that's made by the FBI director and those who were involved in the investigation, the Department of Justice. I know that they will continue to look into these individuals. The investigation is just in the beginning stages, in my opinion, because once you get one person to flip, then they start giving information on the other individuals. And it's important to note that law enforcement was contacted. The Proper family contacted law enforcement on June 10th. On June 11th, the FBI and local law enforcement executed search warrants at Proper's home. And in a consensual interview, Proper admitted to planning with others a coordinated attack against the UFC 250 event.
Right.
Again, I was present at it. It was spectacular.
All right. Yeah, I don't care about what your opinion is on that. Let's see if there's any other official statements from anybody in government. Nope, there is not. There's no officials coming out or anything. All right, let's go ahead and get into this next story here. Expert sounds alarm on big concerns with Iran deal, which is something that I've been talking about a lot about, actually. And this is just coming out an hour ago, and it is on Fox News again. But let's go ahead and hear it out. I definitely am interested on what is being said here.
So any moment now, we're expecting President Trump to sit down with the president of Egypt. The commander-in-chief wraps up his final day in France with the G7. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks is live in Tel Aviv, Israel, with the latest. Hey, Trey.
And Trey's actually been doing somewhat of a decent job. Now, once he starts getting questioned on the personal level, where these two are just exchanging questions and stuff, not doing the interview or the actual report, that's where Trey definitely gets, and so does Fox, get extremely biased. But he is doing well on his actual reporting, though.
Yeah, hey, Brian, good morning. With the signing ceremony for the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States and Iran just 48 hours away, some of the details in this agreement are starting to leak. Axios reports it will include immediately opening the Strait of Hormuz and the eventual U.S. naval blockade lifting. Also, it will go into a negotiation period of 60 days, this window to figure out the details of Iran's nuclear enrichment and disposal. There will also be sanctions relief included in a tiered system and a ceasefire on all fronts, including Israel and Lebanon. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance was on the 5 last night and said this about the equation for Iran to receive sanctions relief.
So the United States wins either way. As the president said, either they get nothing, we destroyed their nuclear program and the Straits of Hormuz are open, or they fundamentally transform themselves, and that's a big win too. It's really up to them.
The largest X factor here is Iran's nuclear program. Over the next 60 days, the details of that program are set to be discussed. But in the past, the Iranians have been unwilling to make serious concessions.
Correct.
President Trump said Tuesday the U.S. will go into Iran, get their highly enriched uranium, and destroy it. It's not clear if Iran agreed to this point. He also...
Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. I already told you guys, this is not going to happen as long as the IRGC is still in place, unless they get completely bought out to not deal with any of that. That's the only way it's going to fucking happen, if the IRGC is going to make concessions on this. I think that at the end of the 60-day MOU, we're going to see ourselves at square one, back again to where we're going to have to, like what Trump was saying here, we're going to just drop bombs on their head. You know, well, that's what it's going to come back to. This is exactly what it's going to come back to.
Spoke about the timeline for the broader deal.
It's a 60-day period or so. I think it's going to happen fairly on time. We've been both involved. I think they're going to want to get it done. Iran wants to get it done. They have to get back to business. And the relationship is now normalized. So I think it's going to go pretty quickly.
There are a lot of open questions here, Brian, when we talk about this agreement. One has to do with Lebanon. And the reality is, overnight, the IRGC was still threatening to launch new attacks in the region if the Israelis continued to target Hezbollah in Lebanon. Additionally, there are reports of the Iranians launching drones toward commercial shipping vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Brian?
All right. So from here, it's just going to be questions back and forth, and that's what I really don't care about. Let's see if there's any actual reports from any governmental officials or any other reports from Trump or anything. There doesn't seem to look like it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up for the morning, man. I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for the amount of love, support, hitting that like button, all that engagement, man, double tapping that screen. If you guys are on the vertical side, I'm very honored to be able to do this Monday through Friday. And then, of course, we have Saturday morning for members only, man. It's a fucking great time. Listen, we're going to be back actually tonight for the Diamond Effect, as you guys know, 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time-ish. On that show, because there are 3 people on the panel, and for some reason they always seem to run late, but it's all good. It's all good. Listen, man. All right. We'll be back here for more of the World's Madness, though. All the shit that we do here tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. All right. God bless everyone. Much love. We'll see you guys. Be safe.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul, with a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with, fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels, here is battle.
Just seeing this, Stephanie. Thank you for this.
Metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he